Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Candace Barrett.
I'm Rob Mackay.
And this is Pearcey, coming to you from the outside broadcast unit in Bomaderry.
I know, right? On the move. On your little school holidays, I can see.
Absolutely.
The wilds of the South Coast.
Yeah. No, it's very exciting. I'm here with my my young fellow at an Academy AFL game, so it'll be good fun. And then I'm heading back to the bush to go bike riding for the rest of the week. It'll be awesome.
Sweet. Well, best of luck in
So
your
you're actually riding
competition.
home from there, are you, Pearcey?
No. As much as the fuel's going to cost a bit to get down there, I'm going to drive down there. We've got a 118k bush race on Saturday, and we're going to do some exploring beforehand.
Good bakeries and good breweries in Beechworth. I've got family down there, so some good places down there.
The brewery runs the cycling event. It's all of the
Oh my
things.
God, amazing. Is there something like every mile you have to drink like a schooner or like a sip of something?
There is on-course bevies. Last year I did it for the first time, and one of my cycling heroes, Mitch Docker, was on course delivering whiskey and pickle juice shots.
Oh my goodness, stop.
Ooh.
Mitch is actually a podcasting legend and is probably the best mustachioed man you've ever seen. His moustache is top shelf. He's got a podcast called Life in the Peloton, and it is top shelf.
All right, Pearcey, you've had a week off or two. So, Candace, I think you got involved in a little bit of running around on the weekend with the clipboard. So, How was that?
Yeah, I was a referee coach and I was coaching my own coach. So my seasonal coach was going out for a run. And yeah, funnily enough, I ended up being appointed as his coach, which was quite funny. But no, it was really good. I was glad that I could like talk through my own coach's work-ons. And then after was able to get a run out as an AR, so out on the flag.
Awesome.
So that was really fun.
Who's your coach?
Andrew Winslet.
Excellent.
Winnie.
Hopefully you slayed him.
He was
I
good.
see what you did there, Pearcey.
Shout out to Andrew, good fella. How about you, Rob? What'd you get up to?
Well, I got a run, which was lovely. It was round one of subbies, which had been brought forward because someone realised that the Anzac Day weekend was coming up and they should have a public holiday. So I'm not quite sure what they were thinking there. But anyway, so it was brought forward a week. I think that's caught a few people off guard. I had the defending premiers against a team coming up a division. The defending premiers, 20 minutes before kickoff, had about 10 players. Their coach was playing in the front row. They still put 50 on the team coming up. It was a bit of a crazy helter-skelter game for lots of reasons. Had uncontested scrums, had yellow cards. Yeah, Subbies Rugby, it's back, baby. And there was a trophy at the end for the divisional boat racing.
Lovely.
And
Fun.
the Renegades lost on the field, but they won big time off the field. So they now hold that. And my understanding is it's a Ranfurly Shield type arrangement.
I love that. You take it on tour with you. Yeah, excellent.
Yes, which is also replicated at test level with the Rayburn Shield and Utrecht Shield, which is official, unofficial, but same concept. So let's see how the Renegades go next week, holding on to the trophy. So well done.
Love it. And I did no rugby things. I didn't even watch any rugby on the weekend. I had a digital detox up on the Sunshine Coast. Beautiful spot up there.
Nice.
It's so named for a reason. And this is the time of year to go, isn't it? When that humidity has just dropped off. It's in that nice temperate zone. And it was a bit busy, I heard, up there. I got some mates up there. And
not where we were. Kings Beach was magnificent. It was a bit hectic coming home, but I'm heading down to Beechworth tonight, and it's snowing there at the moment, so it'll be good hot cold therapy for me.
Yeah, well, it was 30-something degrees here on Friday, and it was about 8 degrees Saturday morning. So, yeah, it's that time of year, right? So, which means it's rugby season.
It's
and
rugby
my goodness.
Haven't we had some rugby too? And look, we've had lots of rugby. We've got Women's Six Nations, the specific four, as I like to call it. Some good footy. We've had some good Super Rugby. We haven't actually recorded for a couple of weeks. I had the pleasure of going and watching the Wallaroos versus Fijiana down in Canberra on a cold night there a couple of weeks ago, and happened to just have a seat right next to the TMO box. So saw our friend of the pod, Rachel,
so happens.
Oops, and Drew Crozier in there. So that was really cool to catch up with them, and caught up with Rachel afterwards, and we took my daughter down to watch the game. And our beloved Waratahs actually snuck a win, so that was really cool.
Oh my goodness, wasn't that a nail biter?
Yeah, it was not as nail biting as driving home afterwards through the Kangaroos there.
Oh, what? You drove home that night?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my
you're
goodness,
mad.
stop.
You are mad.
Yeah, it was
Oh.
pretty hectic. But we got home. My daughter had a shift at 6 a.m. next morning, so had to do that.
Oh.
That was a really good game. I thought that Angus was great. It was good to see him stay on his feet for a game.
Yeah,
If you
no little
recall, he'd been
shoulder.
cleaned up the week before, so
Yes.
but he was
Yes.
really good. And I've got to say, some of the Brumbies fans, you've got, my best ref in the world, certainly top 5. Even the biggest Angus Gardner haters would have him in their top 5, and they weren't happy. They weren't happy with him. I don't know what our expectations are if we're not happy with him. So
You can actually hear some of the crowd when they had some sideline shots. You could hear the crowd giving
Yeah.
their advice,
Yeah.
and I'm just sitting at home shaking my head going, you guys are so bad.
take a good hard look at yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I, for one, have also been enjoying some of the stuff happening. I see some really cool stuff. I can see that you've got here that Ben O'Keefe's got his own referee coaching channel. I did see that.
Yeah.
That's
He
really
has it on his
cool.
Instagram. Yeah, I think you either pay a small fee and you can get some of the content as well. And it's not a lot and it's quite nice to listen to. It's all through your phone as well. So pretty easy on on transport, en route.
Yeah, so it's a good resource for
Really
everyone to
good pods
use.
out there too. I did see that the Rugby Unity guys have had our friend Gussie on there, which I have yet to listen to. I'm actually listening to the Scott Pendlebury Chasing 400 podcast at the moment, which is really, really good stuff for 20-year veteran of the sport, how he prepares for a season. Rob, it's actually really good listening for some of the people dragging their old sorry asses around a field still, how he prepares for that.
Which sport, Pearcey?
AFL, Scott Pendlebury, greatest of all time.
Okay.
He's about to break the record for the most games ever played. 20 years, 2 premierships.
Who's he play for?
The best team, Collingwood.
Right. Okay.
It's interesting. He quite often gets referred to as the best coach in the league, despite the fact he's still playing.
Oh, one of those types of players. Yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes they're good to have on the field when you're a match official. Sometimes not so much.
I think he would be. I think everyone would love him. Let's get back to rugby.
Back to rugby. So some rugby news, lots happening as we alluded to. Women's Six Nations kicked off. The Pacific 4, as you say, Pearcey. We want to reiterate too, there's a Social Protect app that is used by World Rugby to protect match officials. Brett talked about it in our most recent pod, Brett Robertson, Chair of World Rugby. So have a look at that. Lots happening in the women's space. So the Australian Rugby Foundation's hopped in bed with Rugby Australia, and they're investing some more money in women's high-performance pathways, which I think is awesome. I think they're trying to replicate the English model, maybe a day late and a dollar short for World Cup 29, but if we get onto it and move quickly, we have a chance to catch up at least part of the way, which we need to do because we really want the Wallaroos up there in the final fortnight at least. So they've launched the Next Gen 15s program, and that comes with some high performance players agreements for emerging talents in the 16s and 19s, which is good. So good signs. We need to sort out the rest of the pathway as well and find some funding for that because it needs to be connected, but that's a real win.
It's been interesting just the last 24 hours in my feeds looking at the argument of parity that they can't fill stadiums and the like. The American game, for example, just a huge crowd, and the funding model really does have a bit to catch up in Australia in the very least. But yeah, we are taking steps in the right direction.
Look, there was 77,000 people at Twickenham to watch the Red Roses play against Ireland. That was it. There wasn't a double-header, triple-header World Cup final. That was the opening match of a Six Nations. 77,000 people. Build it and they will come. Just get on.
And that was versus Ireland for everyone.
Invest in the marketing for it too. It's really important.
Yeah.
Well, and we're finding, and we talked with Brett about this, and there's so much other research out there. The women's game is different. It's marketed differently. The players behave differently. And that is a good thing. We should be celebrating that, supporting that. Some other news, some quickies. We talked about Bock and his adventures. There's a union, and I forget where they were, somewhere nearby. They are having new referees have a red whistle, and that's to identify rookie referees. And this is a bit of an ongoing debate in refereeing circles. Do we identify new referees or not? I'm in favour of it because I think it's a good thing to do. Some people think we shouldn't do it because it adds pressure. I think the opposite. I think it's an opportunity to highlight the fact this is a new match official and we should support them. And if someone on the sideline isn't behaving, you can whack them twice, not once. So well done on that idea. I think it's a great initiative. So Hollie's doing a top 14 match. Again, she just keeps on going. very impressive. So well done to her. Nick is working hard on his tackle count. And I think the Opta team have set up a separate column now for referee tackles, and Nick is leading by a country mile. He actually did a bad one the other day, and he didn't make it through the game. He got subbed at halftime. So, Nick, I hope you're okay, mate. And maybe just let someone else do the tackling. That was the Bath Sarries game. And then a final one, a shout out to, and I think it was the North Harbour referees who had to step in at the Moana game recently where the lights went out. The lights went out literally and metaphorically. The broadcasters went down, so there's no footage of this, but they had to run the match essentially without comms. So a couple of the North Harbour team jumped into in-goal, and it was like the old Sevens scenario. So we had in-goal. Don't even know if they would be assistant referees because the nomenclature didn't exist then, but
they definitely would be. And we actually did some contingency planning on this. What happens if the comms drop out? That was one of the things we spoke of. We actually spoke it too because it's really hard in a dynamic play to get from side to side, left and right in goal. When it went down, we didn't want to make it an inferior product wherever you can. So they're good on them to step in. I haven't heard it done before, but I remember we contingency planned what happens if.
Yeah, and look, that's great thinking on their feet, and we're going to see an example of that in a minute as well at the highest level of the game, which is pretty funny. So well done. And there were lots of comic moments that came out of that game, from what I understand, but no one will ever know. Because apparently the only footage is on one of the team's social media pages. Someone had a phone on Facebook, I think, and they were showing it.
Facebook Live the rest of the game. I love it.
That takes us very nicely into the Women's Six Nations. And we had some fun and games here. So I'm going to go to France and Italy. And I'm going to go to that because for two reasons. So Aimee Barrett celebrated her 50th test. So
congratulations,
fantastic.
Aimee. That's a huge feat. Shout
out to her. A very elite crowd that she's joining for female match officials in that space. So well done. But I've got to say, she was phoning it in.
Well, yeah. What was that? I saw it on socials, but then it didn't come up when I watched it in the 20-minute highlight.
So this was really interesting, and I've got to say it's not unprecedented, and it ties in with what we just talked about at Moana, and this is adaptability in match officials under pressure. So they had a comms issue. So around the 7-minute mark, there was a TMO intervention, and the comms weren't working. So eventually what happened was someone ran onto the field and handed Aimee a phone. It's for you. It's the TMO.
Mum, I'm on telly.
I've told you not to call me now. So they sorted that out via phone. It was obviously clunky because it took a while. It ended up being a yellow card. In fact, it could have been two because I think it was the poor French ball carrier got sandwiched by two Italians, one either side of the head, but she binned the one that had the higher force. But not unprecedented. I've been in this situation in Sydney, and I may have told this story before. We had Moana playing the Drua at Bankwest, or Combank as it's now known, the stadium in Parramatta. And comms went down. Brett Cronin was TMO up in the nosebleeds, level 4. So the plan was, if we needed a TMO, I'm running onto the field in my FedEx kit, and James Diamond and I were going to have a chat with Brett Cronin, and we're going to sort out a decision. Now, it didn't come to that, but it has here in the Women's Six Nations. Adaptability, keep the game going. Well done.
Well done.
Strange to watch, but good effort. So not much else to report from that game. The French goal kicking was immense. It was tight at half time, and the French ran away with it. A little bit of housekeeping on quick throws.
Yeah, that's one of the things I noticed. I think we brought up before, it happened in an England match where just making sure that they know where that mark is and they have to go either on or like behind it. And they're very much in front of it and just like, woo.
Yeah,
that ball.
It's a red mist, isn't it? You got the idea, the opportunity for a quick throw, and you just chuck it. I had it in my match on the weekend. The guy just looked at me and went, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, there's the mark, and there's you."
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's really important for the AR to get that mark set early for them too, because they can manage that. They should be able to manage it and save that loss of face.
Yeah, and talk to them as well.
Well, and the player needs to listen too. So I did have an AR on the mark. The AR had done a really good job, club AR too. So hats off to the club AR. And so it was very clear. And player didn't argue. I went, oh, okay. Yeah, fair point. You got me. Other Six Nations, Wales and Scotland. Who says rugby's an 80-minute game?
Buddy.
in the 88th minute, and it was an absolute thriller. We had a yellow card at the 84th minute, so that gives you an idea of the shape of the game. So that was Ella. Well done.
Well done, Ella.
A shout out to the Scottish player who scored their first try. She had to sidestep a pigeon in the end goal to get the ball down. That wasn't on my bingo card for the weekend. Another yellow too given after a try and a conversion. Stick to your principles. If you need to do it, you need to do it. So well done, Ella. England, Ireland. My goodness, 77,000 people.
That's a big crowd. It's a very
That's a
impressive
massive crowd.
Am I right in saying that Twickenham holds 80? Is that the
82
capacity?
and a half, I think,
Yeah.
So there wouldn't have been too many spare seats in the place. And from what I could see, it looked like it was vibing. Like it was a celebration of footy, and it was an afternoon game, so good light.
Yeah, awesome.
Lots to like. There was a very interesting Irish try. So the try scorer dived over a collapsed ruck to score. So getting into grey areas there, that's certainly something that's been topical this year. But it wasn't over a tackler, and that's a really important distinction. And in sailing through, didn't really make any material contact with the players on the ground. So, but yeah, definitely get into grey. If she'd sort of bounced across the collapsed ruck, that would have been a problem. So, yeah, good scenes. PAC4, well, talk about adaptability.
Was it the rain delay in particular?
And lightning.
And
Rain
yeah.
and lightning in the Wallaroos game against Canada. So, California, sunny California. Come to Sacramento.
I wasn't expecting that. I was all timed and ready to watch it. I made sure I was free for the start time. Turn it on, Stan. I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!"
Yeah, well,
I have to wait more time to see this game.
It was planned to be my pre-match warm-up to watch a bit, the first half of that game. I was like, well, this isn't happening. I've got to go. Yeah, quite a delay, not great conditions, and from what I understand, no crowd because they had a whole bunch of safety issues around the weather. It would have been like playing in COVID times.
Yeah, that would have been
surreal.
a strange feeling, especially if they had that delay. There's no crowd. Like the momentum, I think, would have been really shifted.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised, I guess, I think because of the conditions in particular, that both teams, I don't know, it felt really slow in lots of times.
Yeah, look, it's hard to play in those conditions. And it's sort of technically an away game for both teams. Canada haven't had a run for a while. Australia had one run without a leading comp, so it was always going to be scratchy. I think it was 12-0 at halftime and 24-0 at full time.
Exactly.
So, and Canada World Cup runners up. So I think the Wallaroos would be happy with that. I'm sure they wanted to win. But having said that, Canada put 40 on them in the last two times. So not much to report
down
there really. Yeah, just again, tough one for the players, tough one for the match officials as well, adapting to.
It's a tough ask for the Wallaroos. Full stop. This tournament, like, we are bottom ranked of the four. It's going to be a tough tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was trying to remember who refereed that.
So team of three was Auriel Grouselot from France with Emilia Luciano and Alexis Sari, both US AR. So well done to you. Derek Summers was the TMO, and I think Derek came out here last year, if I remember correctly. And Cam Russell was foul play reviews. There you go. That would have kept them on their toes for however long it took to get that match from start to finish.
It's a big ask when you got delayed.
I'm sure they're drying out their boots still.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of baby powder. The Graham Cooper cheat code on drying out your boots, baby powder. So I'm going to segue into Super, and a couple of really interesting moments in the Highlanders Brumbies match and Reds Crusaders match, which were almost carbon copies, and we got the same outcome, which I think is really pleasing. I don't know if you've seen this, but in both cases we had a ball carrier near the line. Tackler goes in very low, on their feet, but very, very low. There's a wrap, but the dynamics of it's such that the ball carrier's gone over the tackler, and as the tackler's sort of gone to move up, the ball carrier has flipped basically on their head and neck. It looked ugly because you see feet going everywhere, and you hear this collective intake of breath. But in both circumstances, with Bock and Gus as referee, the decision was no foul play because we had a dynamic movement. There was momentum, and the tackler did nothing wrong. they wrapped. They were on their feet. They didn't lift. So
I have seen footage of that, and it on first glance it looked horrible, but
yeah,
on
it did.
review, the tackler's done nothing wrong.
Correct. And sometimes you just get that.
Yeah.
It's just, the tackler steps slightly
And one of them, I
to.
think it was the Reds one in particular, the guy carrying the ball had an oh shit moment and dropped the ball because he thought he was in serious trouble. And then he actually landed okay, as it turns out. But there would have been a moment there where he thought paraplegia is coming.
Yeah.
You can understand why people got upset by it, but the Reds tackler did nothing wrong. It was actually beautiful technique.
Well, and it was just funny. It was almost like a world championship wrestling scenario in that they sort of went back to back, and as the tackler was standing up to finish the tackle, as you do, that was what tipped them over the edge. And there's no lift. It's just a very strange dynamic.
Lots of torsion in the way the body ended up going. It's actually a bit of a segue into something I had noticed the week before, the Waratahs Chiefs game in particular. And it's been, I think my observation, this is very much anecdotal rather than any facts to back it up, is that the breakdown of the tackle is sinking very, very low in the contest at the moment. And I think some of the tackle techniques are incredibly low, but what that also does tend to lead into is some of these tipping moments where the player with the ball's got so much body height above the tackler that you can get those angles. But the breakdowns as well have been, probably for me, too low. The subsequent breakdown has been too low. The contest therefore goes down. And that Waratahs Chiefs game, it was a horrible game to watch, I've got to say. James Dolman, I think at halftime, had realised that in the sheds and tried to get the breakdown height up, but he failed, unfortunately. It was a really scrappy game. And I don't say that because the Waratahs lost. I say that because it was just a really scrappy game to watch.
Well, we've got the Billy Goat thing happening, haven't we?
Yeah.
Two Billy Goats sort of come in like this. And, we always want heads above hips, but we just don't see that breakdown. It's not just super. It's a trend in the game, and it's really hard to prevent that unless you have a worldwide directive that you can't do this, and that changes the game significantly. So it's a real challenge.
I think our referees probably have a bit of an opportunity here to just step in and say, we're not happy with the breakdown height. And I remember in 09, we had to do the same. It was this breakdown is a foot lower than we want it. If you're not, the ball carrying team's not setting that height higher, we're going to have to start giving away some offensive penalties. And that's what correction looks like. I mean, no one wants that, but we also don't want that mess on the breakdown. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. I assume the powers that be are also observing that. So it'd be interesting.
Well, I guess the corollary to that too is that we have a situation where players come in to clean out, the attacking clean out, and they're coming in, pretty much horizontally. And because there's a potential defender there, the concept is play away, you pulled away, therefore they were off their feet. Whereas if you look at it in reality, they were always going to be off their feet. They were hoping there might be a defender there to stop them going off their feet, but really that's probably not the balance that we want. If we take that away and say, let's assume that player's not there, you've got to be able to stay on your feet over the ball rather than relying on someone being there to crash into. So that might help change that height as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens because for me, the game's gotten scrappier. You've got some notes here, both of them quite scrappy games. Chaotic match for the Red Crusaders,
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what that looks like. The shape of the game becomes scrappy. That's not what anyone wants. So
no, and that makes the breakdown also very hard to manage and referee. And ruck speed, everyone talks about 3 seconds. That's where there's the arm wrestle, which is there's always been, but it just makes for a bit of a mess at times. And if it gets away from you, as you said, Pearcey, it's hard to get that genie back in the bottle.
Yep.
One other point from the Highlander Brumbies match, it was a really scrappy game, like 14-10. That's not one you're going to put on the wall. No. And the match was essentially decided by a massive high-impact decision, which was correct, but it certainly had a lot of chat going.
I was wondering what that acronym was. HID, High Impact Decision. Thank you.
Yeah. And it went from an attacking scrum for the Highlanders 5 metres out to a penalty to the Brums back near halfway. And it was a head clash between Nick Frost and the tackler, which, it was a yellow only. It was definitely a yellow because it was head on head. But now Nick Frost is 6'10", and so to get his head, you need a bit of dynamic movement. So I think one of the arguments was it was a dynamic movement, no foul play. But the counter argument to that is the tackler was always vertical, therefore the onus is on you. to get lower. And when someone's 6'10", you've got a lot of opportunity to get lower.
Yeah.
There's a lot of body there.
Am I hearing that right? That someone's high tackled Frosty?
Yeah, they had a head clash.
Yeah. If you hit him in the head, it's high.
Yeah,
Full stop.
Exactly. Now, Frosty did dip.
Yeah. But he still has rung 3 of a step ladder.
Correct. So if he hadn't dipped, I would have said that would have been a red.
If he hadn't dipped, he'd have missed him.
Yes. Yes, he would have got him in the chair. Yeah. So yeah, that was actually part of the argument. Well, the ball carrier did. Yes, he did, but you were still vertical. So interesting debate, but worth putting out there because sometimes people don't quite understand how that dynamic situation happens. And I think yellow was the right outcome, but it changed the match. It didn't change the match, but it
decided the match.
It led to a different dynamic in the match near the end of it. So, and in a match where you got a 4-point margin, yeah, material. But it was the right decision. Not a criticism, an observation.
Cool.
2 takeaways from the Reds game. The Reds had a try disallowed because they're 9 near the line, about a metre from the line. He's at the back of the breakdown. He's on his knee. He just picks the ball up and dots it. 6 inches forward over the line. So, again, messy.
Are we calling that a penalty for his shit haircut, or is that the penalty because he's on his knee?
Well, maybe he was on his knee when he had a haircut. Might explain it. No, who am I to talk about haircuts?
All the Super Rugby players, I don't know what happened one weekend. Did someone just decide, let's raid a hairstylist place and bleach everyone's hair, shave everyone's hair?
I just want to know what the bet was.
What did you lose?
Well, did they win the bet or did they lose the bet? Because if they won the bet, I don't want to see the losers.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll segue the 9 disallowed try. That'll come back to our law of the week. So that was well officiated because it just looked wrong, and it was. And then just a nice little touch at the end of the game. The Suncorp Stadium played I See Red.
Oh,
yeah, the Finn brothers are a classic rugby choice, especially when we got Trans-Tasman games because they bridge the Tasman. They really are the perfect choice.
Well, I just thought it was poking the bear because you got a foot in each camp.
Both teams actually are red.
Yeah, I know, right? So
in fact, some would argue that the Crusaders red is more red than the Queensland red.
Yes, exactly. So there was all sorts of funny about that in both ways. So I had a really funny chuckle about that at the time. And I'm sure the 2011 Reds players up on the catering deck were having a bit of a chuckle too.
15-year anniversary, I heard.
Yeah. And
I was there for that match. That was sensational.
Which capacity were you there, Pearcey?
Spectator.
Spectator. Okay.
One and only time I have ever donned some Queensland merchandise.
Ooh, we might need a photo of that.
There is no photographic evidence, I can assure you.
Understandable too. I completely understand why that would be the case. So well done to the Reds. That's the first time they've beaten the Crusaders at Suncorp since then too.
Since 2011, yeah. It's been a while.
Stats Central, trends and talking points. The first one was
shit haircuts. Second one is
speaking of shit. So the contestable kick sweeper. Now this is one for match officials to be aware of because the contestable kick goes up. There are no offside lines. It's general play. So obviously you've got your usual general play offside. But what we're seeing a lot of is the tap back because the catch in the air is very difficult. So the non-kicking team's going up and tapping the ball back. So the kicking team is now sending a player around the back, hoping to get lucky on the tap back. And it happens from time to time. Henry Pollock is a master at it, and he's very athletic. He's tall. He gets there quickly. So you do all the right things. You get up in the air, you tap it back, and you tap it to the guy from the other team who now has a 10-metre head start on the defence. And he's off to the races. So that's something to be really aware of as a match official. It sometimes looks a bit wrong, but it gives that player a really big head start. So just an awareness piece on that. Mm-hmm. So you got to make sure they're not in front of the kicker. That's your first thing, because if they are, then you're going to look doubly silly.
Subsequent events are irrelevant if they're in front of the kicker.
Yeah, so you really got to be hot on that early and then make sure no one else is in that space as well that causes drama, and just be aware of it, because if they're not in front of the kicker and they come around and there's no tackle or ruck off sidelines, then it's play on. But it's a bit of a lottery. The second thing I wanted to talk about was we've got free kick now for accidental offside and super. I think that's one of the ones that might not make it.
I agree with that. I think that one will not make it.
No, but it's also being used as a little bit of a trapdoor get out of jail card for where we have real offside. So, player knocks it on, teammate in front picks it up. That's a penalty.
That is offside. That's not accidental. That is offside.
No, and I've seen a few of those given. It just looks clunky. Like either play the knock on because you think, Anyway, so tidy it up, I reckon.
Stats Central, Rob, hit us with the stats. You know how much I love that stuff.
All right, Stats Central. Okay.
You haven't got a theme this week, do you?
I've got a theme. Love me a theme.
Central.
So the theme is 50.
50,
now,
yeah.
There's some obvious parts to this and there's some less obvious parts.
We just spoke of Aimee Barrett.
About to say, yeah.
50th test. So that's a good start. I knew that one's coming.
Okay, so let's go back a week or two, and we've got the Crusaders playing at home. And my goodness, everywhere you looked, it was like a T20 with Glenn Maxwell playing. There were 50s everywhere. So Cody Taylor. So it's his 100th match. Very impressive. So 3 lots of 50 there. So he goes into the match on 40-something tries. So, bugger that. I need 50 tries. So he scores 4.
Yeah.
So he walks out of the match
impressive.
with 53 tries. So he's the most scoringest forward of all time. Great English there. So he's clocked up a record. Meanwhile, Will Jordan...
Someone's got to say something about Hooker's scoring there. But and that was farewell to Jade Stadium as well, wasn't it?
Yes. So farewell to Jade Stadium because the new stadium is opening, has opened, but we'll see it in Super Round.
Super Round, yeah, 2 weeks.
In a couple of weeks' time. Meanwhile, old Willie Jordan, he's sitting there, 49 tries, hoping to clock over 50. Cody Taylor says, hold my beer. Scores 4. But it also highlighted the Crusaders' 100th win at the venue. So 2 lots of 50. And it's the first time that anyone can remember where the Crusaders have both scored 50 at home and had 50 put on them at home. It's because the Reds put 50 on them in the opening round. So 50 is everywhere you look on that one. So 50 is the numero du jour for us this week. There you have it. And just another little stat, 677. That is the average pack weight in the France-Italy game. So we often see them men's pack weights. They're sort of up around the 900 mark these days. 677 for the women. It was 687 versus 667. So there you go.
A lot of power going through that.
Yeah, a lot of power. Absolutely. So love seeing that.
Tell me this. How did the world's tallest referee, Tom McLean, go?
Tommy McLean had a blinder from all reports. So
congratulations, big Tommy. I was very excited for you to get your Shoot Shield debut.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, there's a lot of effort that's gone into that. And I'm sure Tommy won't mind me saying so. It was only a few years ago I was running faster than him in a Bronco, and he would now absolutely wipe the floor. And that's a testament to his hard work and his effort and just a never give up mindset. And he's got such good presence on the field. He really does. Box kicking is a real threat for him. So he has to stay out of the way.
Yeah, he needs to wear a helmet for those.
We were contemplating on Saturday night who would be our tallest team of 3, and he would certainly be a candidate for that. We had one referee a couple of years ago, probably should have blue carded himself in a grand final because he's a tall fella, Jim, and he got cleaned up by a box kick. He's genuinely a 6'7", 6'8" sort of guy, and the 9 just got it wrong, and Tommy's in that space as well. So Tommy's certainly a candidate for Golden Whistle for Shoot Shield debut. So well
congratulations,
done.
A deserving Golden Whistle this week.
And there's another one coming up shortly too. So watch this space.
Excellent. Are we able to divulge or?
No.
Damn it.
No.
You're going to make me wait, Rob?
Come on, Rob.
Yes. I'm going to make you
the
wait.
suspense, guys.
I'm of the instant gratification generation.
I know, Pearcey.
Stay tuned, guys, for our future Golden Whistles.
Stay tuned. So maybe we should go into some appointments. All right. So Women's Six Nations, round 2's coming up this weekend, no furlough. And just a heads up, there's been some changes because both Maggie Cogaror and Tash Ganley have had injuries, so they've rejigged their schedule. So there's been some changes. So this week we see Scotland host England at Murrayfield, and Zoe Nald from, I think, South Africa's got that. Clara Munarini and Berenice Loubert from France. Oh, gee, I'm sorry, I might not have pronounced that correctly. Quinton Immelman, who was the teamo, by the way, with ABT on the phone, and Stefano Pen in the box for that one. Wales and France. So Robbie Jenkinson's on this. So he's a sub. I shouldn't say a sub. That sounds terrible, but he's part of the rearrangement because of the injuries to Maggie and Tash. He's got Precious Bazzani and Emily Hope on the flags, and Estelle Fire, who is the teamo, and Dan Jones, hope I pronounced that correctly, is the foul play review officer. And then Ireland, Italy in Galway. Wales, France, by the way, is at Cardiff Arms Park, the great Cardiff Arms Park. Ireland, Italy's in Galway, and that's Ella. Ella backing up from last week. She's got Ben Connor and Rebecca Piddleston on the flag. Friend of the pod, Graham Cooper, is the teamo, and Finlay Brown from Scotland is foul play review officer. So I tell you what, it made it hard for me. There's some absolute tongue twisters in that. So apologies if I've got that wrong. I try to get them right, but there's some absolute crackers in there. So well done to you all.
Yes.
Looking forward to seeing you on the field and in the truck. So that's Women's Six Nations. Now we move to PAC4. So we've got week 2 of PAC4. And here we see the aforementioned ABT. She's back on deck. She's got Canada and New Zealand, which will be an absolute cracker of a game. So we've got 2 versus 3 from the last World Cup. No pressure. And that is in that rugby heartland, Kansas City, Missouri. So I reckon
Ted Lasso.
Ellie Kildun might be spotted there in her hats and chaps. That's her territory. The cowgirl. So ABT's on the whistle. Amelia Luciano and Lindsay Oliver are on the flags. Derek Summers and Cam Russell in the screens. And then also in Kansas City, Missouri, so doubleheader, USA, Australia. And last time these two teams played, they had a draw. So this will also be a cracker. So Julianne Zussman is in the middle for that one with Emma Gallagher and Christine Lovett. And then Cam Russell and Derek Summers do a switcheroo in the truck. So you switch, you go my seat, you go my seat. So they're backing up there. So that should be a really good day of footy, actually. It's the same day. It's Friday night in the US. So that probably makes it Monday morning here. So that's the appointments we've got there. This week also sees the start of the under-21 Women's Six Nations.
What a great initiative. I have seen that.
Yeah. So this gives the next tranche of match officials a great opportunity to come through the pathways. So that's really exciting. A whole bunch of people that I have to say I'm not overly familiar with, but this is their time to shine, and before you know it, we will be familiar with them. So shout out to the teams there.
I think it's a great initiative for the match officials, but even more so for the players. What a great opportunity.
Yeah, like those pathways for both. So
it's interesting comparing the different ages that we use for those development programs. We can see in the Super Rugby, they've gone with 20s. The Women's Six Nations, they've gone with 21. I remember back in the day, it used to be 23. I don't understand the reason for those distinctions, but
no, I don't know.
Whatever you go with, it's awesome.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of opportunity there for the match officials on and off the field. Interestingly enough, no foul play review in this, just TMOs. So not full test status. We only have foul play review for full test, is my understanding. So watch this space, because that is being reviewed with Mark Robinson, as Brett Robinson talked about in our pod a couple of weeks ago. That is just about it for appointments. I think I've got everything. We've got Super Rugby Pacific under-20s coming up as well. So we'll see some more appointments for that shortly. Shoot Shield goes into week 2 in Sydney. Hospital Cup's underway in Brisbane. So Shoot Shield appointments will come out later today, as will Super appointments. So that they will have dropped by the time the pod drops later in the week. So watch this space. And then we segue onto our final segment, which is Law of the Week.
I love Law 13, player not tackled on the ground. Is that what it's called? Players on the ground in open play. So then this is in the law book before the tackle bit.
Yes.
I really love this one. And it's quite a short law. There's only 4 parts to it. But the Reds halfback certainly fell under 13.3. A player on the ground in the field of play, definition of on the ground, on your knee, without the ball is out of the game and must not play the ball, part B.
Yeah.
No try.
Yeah. And, the opening line of the law says it all. Principle, the game is played only by players who are on their feet.
Mhm.
Love it.
Simple. Yeah. So, law 14, I dips my lid. Well done.
One of my favourites. I remember that one.
And it's a short law. It's one page, Pearcey, as you said. So,
Yeah.
short law, but my goodness, does it cause
Some
lots to
confusion
happen.
for halfbacks. Halfbacks in particular, because they're just low to the ground and low in general. Love a halfback snipe to wrap it up.
Yes, just to keep on theme with the pod.
The halfback sniping field had been a desert until now, Pearcey, but
Yeah, we'll be back next week and we'll have a go at them again next week.
you've righted that. You found a little oasis at the end of the pod, so well done.
Rob, have you got anything this weekend?
Hopefully. So,
Find out today.
yeah, find out today. There's lots on. I'm short a car at the moment. My gearbox has munted itself, so
There's a bit of that going on, not the gearbox, but I have one of our two cars in the shop getting the kangaroo removed from the left-hand side of it.
God, there you go. There's a trend. So yes, German gearbox is not cheap and not quick. So I'm relying on the good graces of public transport and maybe the other car, depending on what the family schedule looks like. So
Candace, have you got a
Welcome
game
to
this
the
weekend?
club. I will also find out. I'm still coming back from injury, but I'm able to do some ARing. So hopefully we'll be assisting where I can this weekend.
Beautiful.
looking forward to seeing you on the field somewhere, Candace.
I'm going to be riding my glorious bike rather than rugby. As I said, rugby's going to start Anzac weekend for me.
What a way to start. Anzac weekend rugby in Sydney is massive. Battle of the Beaches, Anzac ceremonies right, left and centre.
Yeah,
That
beautiful.
will be huge. Absolutely. So there you go.
Great pod, guys. Candace, you were quieter than normal. We probably don't need to share too much with the listeners that your tech was giving us some grief, but you were still better than Rob and I, substantially.
I feel like I was watching our YouTube channel, basically, but live. So there you go.
You bring the quality, we bring the quantity, Candace.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Isn't
And
it,
I
Pearcey?
promise I'll watch some footy for next week.
Yeah, while you're riding your bike. So just set your phone up on your handlebars, Pearcey.
Can do.
Dial into
Can do.
Stan, and you got to pass the time between breweries somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent, guys.
Thank you all for listening and see you all next week.
Jouet.